Blue Chip Bulletin. Financial market updates and insights.
So let's talk about CrowdStrike. It's one of the giants in cybersecurity, and boy, does it have a stock price to match. Now, after a pretty wild year that even included a major global outage, the huge question on every investor's mind is simple. Is that premium price tag really justified? Well, their latest earnings report just dropped, and it might be our best shot at an answer. Okay, let's jump right in and see if the numbers really back up all the hype. Here's what we're going to cover. We'll start with their massive Q4 earnings beat. Then we'll break down FalconFlex, which is the subscription model that's really pouring fuel on their growth. After that, we'll look at how they're planning to win the AI arms race and basically push out the old guard competitors. We'll also tackle the risks head-on, including those regulatory questions, before we land on the final verdict. Is the stock actually worth the price? All right, first things first, the results. After the chaos of that July 2024 outage, Wall Street was watching this quarter like a hawk. And what CrowdStrike came back with, honestly, you can only call it a victory lap. It was a huge beat and raise that felt like it was specifically designed to shut down any doubts about their momentum. Now, what's really fascinating here isn't just that they beat on revenue and earnings. That's great, but look at that net new annual recurring revenue, or ARR. Analysts were hoping for maybe $300 million? CrowdStrike smashed that, delivering a record $331 million. That is a 47% jump year over year. Folks, this isn't a small beat. It's a massive signal that sales and demand are accelerating big time. So you've got to ask, what is driving this incredible performance? Well, the answer really comes down to two words: FalconFlex. And this isn't just another product. It's a whole new way of selling cybersecurity, and it's quickly becoming their main engine for growth and, more importantly, for locking in customers. Okay, so think of it like this. FalconFlex is kind of like a buy now, use later subscription for big companies. A huge enterprise can sign a multi-million-dollar deal, and then whenever they need to, they can just flip a switch and turn on different security tools. Endpoint protection, cloud security, you name it. It just gets rid of all the friction and makes it super easy for customers to put all their security spending in one place, the CrowdStrike platform. And this quote from CEO George Kurtz just nails the strategy. He sees this as a fundamental change. It's all about moving away from selling one-off products to selling an entire security platform as a flexible, ongoing service. The end game? To become the one indispensable operating system for a company's entire cybersecurity world. And would you look at these results? They totally speak for themselves. In just a single quarter, the money coming from Falcon Flex accounts jumped from $1.35 billion to almost $1.7 billion. That's over 120% growth compared to last year. It just goes to show, customers aren't just buying the idea, they're using the services like crazy, locking themselves right into the Falcon ecosystem for the long run. So how does all this build into the future? Well, if Falcon Flex is the engine, then you better believe artificial intelligence is the rocket fuel for CrowdStrike's next decade. They're setting themselves up not just as a security company, but as the go-to guardian in this new AI-powered world. Just let this number sink in for a second. 96%. That means pretty much every major organization out there is building or using autonomous AI agents to automate their work. We're talking about companies aiming for over 1 billion agents in production. And guess what? Every single one of those agents is a new door for attackers to try and open, a new identity that has to be secured. The attack surface is just exploding. And this is exactly where CrowdStrike is placing its biggest bet. They want to be the AI sentinel, the default protector for this brave new world of autonomous agents. Think about it. Just like you need protection for your human employees and their laptops, you're going to need protection for every single AI agent, what it's working on, the data it touches, and the AI models themselves. This is a massive, massive expansion of their potential market. And, they're fighting fire with fire, or in this case, AI with AI. Their own AI security analyst, Charlotte AI, is built to do the work of a human security team, but way faster. Something that could take a person days to investigate, digging through alerts and logs, Charlotte AI can knock out in minutes. This isn't just a cool feature. For companies drowning in threats, it's an absolute lifeline. So when you put this flexible platform together with advanced AI, you get something really powerful. It's not just attracting new customers, it's letting CrowdStrike go on the attack, actively stealing market share from older, slower rivals, especially in the huge, multi-billion-dollar CM market. For years and years, the CM market, That's just a fancy term for security event management, was totally dominated by legacy players like Splunk. But now, CrowdStrike is carving out a massive piece of that pie. Their next-gen CM product is seeing triple-digit growth as customers ditch those clunky old solutions for something modern. So why are they winning these deals? Well, it boils down to a few key things. First, something called data gravity. For a lot of their customers, over 80% of their most important security data is already on the Falcon platform. It's just way cheaper and faster to analyze it right there instead of sending it off to some other expensive tool. This platform consolidation makes life so much easier, and big partnerships, like the one they have with Amazon Web Services, make switching over a no-brainer. Okay, so the growth story is phenomenal, but let's be real, it hasn't all been a walk in the park. To get the full picture, we have to look at the risks that have been weighing on the stock, and, probably more importantly, how the company's leadership is fighting back. Let's just address the elephant in the room. After that huge outage in July 2024, the company got a request for information from both the Department of Justice and the SEC. Now, CrowdStrike says they're cooperating fully, but the request covers the outage and some of how they recognize revenue. This just creates uncertainty, right? It's an overhang on the stock because nobody knows what the outcome will be or how long it will take. So how does management respond to that kind of uncertainty? Well, they respond with this. The board authorized a $1 billion share buyback program. That is one of the strongest signals a company can possibly send. It screams, we think our stock is cheap, and we are so confident in our future that we are willing to bet $1 billion of our own money on it. And they're not stopping there. They're making other really smart moves to cement their leadership role. For instance, they just announced a new partnership with Microsoft to create a common language for naming cyber threats. Now, this might sound a little technical, but it is a huge deal. It helps establish CrowdStrike not just as another company selling a product, but as a foundational pillar for the entire security industry. And finally, they're backing all this confidence up with cold, hard numbers. As part of a new strategic plan, they've set clear targets for fiscal year 2027. They're aiming for operating margins above 24% and, get this, a free cash flow margin of over 30%. That means for every dollar that comes in, 30 cents will be pure cash flow. That is the definition of elite profitability. All right, let's bring it all home for the final verdict. We've seen unbelievable growth, a powerful and smart strategy, some pretty serious risks, and a very confident response for management. Now, it's time to weigh all of that against the stock's really high price tag. The debate here is pretty straightforward. The bears are going to point to that high price-to-sales multiple and the uncertainty from the regulators. They'll argue that any little slip-up could cause the stock to fall hard. But the bulls have a really powerful comeback. They'll tell you to look at the fundamentals. Subscription gross margins are at an incredible 81%. FalconFlex is accelerating growth, and they have a clear path to becoming a cash-generating machine. And the long-term vision here is just staggering. Management isn't just focused on next quarter. They've laid out a goal of reaching $20 billion in annual recurring revenue by fiscal year 2036. This frames the company not as some mature business, but as one that's still in the early innings of a decade-long growth story. Which brings us right back to the final question. As CrowdStrike digs in and becomes this essential AI sentinel for businesses everywhere, you have to decide for yourself. Is today's stock price just an expensive ticket for what they've already done? Or, when you look at their trajectory, their platform dominance, and this exploding AI market they're built to protect, is it actually a fair price to own a piece of the future?